having a business forces you to grow in ways that you maybe never really anticipated that you would grow.
The end of February 2020, they shut the world down and everybody had to start wearing masks, but you couldn't get your hands on a mask, right? But I was sitting here with a host full of fabric and a website they could buy it on.
If you have a passion type business, skiing, quilting, mountain biking, whatever the passion is, like those communities will sell for you.
You have to have a plan, but you also have to be flexible.
Authenticity,
Mm.
they've just been able to measure scientifically, and it's vibrating at a 4 times higher than love and gratitude.
Wow.
Welcome to another episode of Daring Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Haley Bowen, and today I am accompanied by the absolutely lovely Lisa Moser, who was one of my like almost not first clients, but in the first year, I think, and has worked with me off and on different things. So super excited to have Lisa here. Lisa has a quilting company called KP Quilting Studio.
Studio, yep.
Yep, KP Quilting Studio, you guys. Mark that in your notebooks. So, Lisa,
Yeah.
before we get started, welcome. And like I said, it's so good to see you. We had a little preamble for those of you listening. So, Lisa, why don't you kind of give everybody an idea of what your small business is? Just like, what do you do? Then we'll go from there.
All right. So, as you said, I own a quilting shop. So, we have a few different things that we do. We're located now on Rothsay Avenue in St. John, 574 Rothsay Avenue. And we, first and foremost, are a fabric shop. So, I sell top quality quilting fabrics, 100% cotton quilting fabrics. So, we cater to the quilters out there. We also offer long arming quilting services. So, long arm is a big, huge machine that quilts. So, we offer that service as well. And we also make custom quilts. So, if you would like a quilt for your bed, we will make that from scratch for you. We are still doing our weighted comfort quilts. We still have some demand for those as well, which was what started it all.
Yeah.
Um, and most recently, we built ourselves a little classroom, and we're now offering quilting classes, sewing classes. Oh, we're making all kinds of fun stuff. So
That's
that's
awesome.
the four major things that we do. Now we will hem the odd set of curtains and make the odd tablecloth. That's those little things that people need
Yeah.
done. But for the most part, we are a tried and true quilt shop. Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Actually, I love hearing about it because, like I said, we had worked together. Was it 5 years ago?
2019, 2018, 2019 in there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
quite a while ago. So when Lisa and I started working together, she hadn't even really launched. Had you launched? Had you,
No.
no, you were
I
kind of
was
doing a couple like odd jobs for people, I think.
Yeah, I was making the weighted comfort quilts were we were just getting ready to launch those, and I was making a lot of them, and
Yeah.
so I didn't have an actual brick and mortar fabric shop, quilt shop. I was essentially making these items in my home, and yeah, so
Yeah.
a lot has changed since
A
then.
lot has changed. So this is for all of you listeners. A lot can change in 5 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, I think that sometimes people like want that change instantaneously. And I remember when we first started working together, you wanted to have those classes and those events. And remember you had a location
Yep.
that you wanted to do it at, but
Mhm.
not everything happens overnight. But look at what you can accomplish in 5 years. So I want to kind of talk about like what has happened over the last 5 years for your business. So starting from the weighted comfort quilts, which I actually have one and I love, by the way. It's
Yes,
beautiful,
yes.
and cozy and calming. Kind of for the listeners, let them know like what was the evolution of your business over the last 5 years.
Yeah, and it's when I sit here and I look back, it kind of all happened in a way that makes a lot of sense, really, because I was making the weighted comfort quilts and I was buying my fabric retail. And of course, I was having to pass those higher prices on to the customer because I was paying more for fabric to make their quilt. So I thought, well, this is kind of dumb. Why don't I buy my fabric wholesale? I have a business license. So when I started looking into that, it was, well, you can't buy wholesale fabric unless you have a brick and mortar shop. All right. So now I have to decide what I'm going to do in order to get that wholesale price for the fabric. So I just thought, all right, well, I'll make a quilt shop in my house because, makes sense, doesn't it?
Of course.
Well, I
Your,
wasn't
bring your work home with you.
right, but I wasn't confident to go in and sign a year lease in the city.
Yeah.
I was not ready to do that. It was not something that I felt comfortable doing. So I thought, well, how can I do this but not, scare the life out of myself type thing. So it
Yeah.
was,
Scary.
you take calculated risks, and that's really what the whole name of the game is. So in order to get the wholesale fabric, I had to have a brick and mortar. So I literally made a new entrance in my house and took 3 rooms from my house and
Yeah.
called it KP Quilting Studio, brick and mortar shop. Now I'm selling fabric to the public. So that's kind of how that part started. And I had the long arm, but I really wasn't using it much. And of course, over time, word of mouth, a little bit of radio advertising, I started getting people coming here to buy fabric, and then they see the long arm, and that naturally they ask the question, do you quilt for other people? It's like, oh no, I'm not good enough, da da da, because I didn't
Which
really,
was crazy because you were good enough, but
well, I didn't know that yet.
yeah.
It took one particular client saying, here's a quilt, I want you to quilt it for me, have fun, don't worry about mistakes, it'll be fine. And it really did take that one client saying that to me for me to find my confidence, because you have to think about it. When someone makes a quilt, they spend anywhere up to $500 for the fabric.
Hmm.
Then they spend probably anywhere up to, I don't know, 500 hours making the thing. And now they're going to hand it to me and say,
Yeah.
here, this is, you do this. And
Yeah,
that's
that would scare me too, actually.
responsibility, right? So that's what it kind of took, and that happened in. All right, so we started May 2018, 2019. So now we're in May 2020. I opened the brick and mortar, and now we're in September 2020. I start quilting for other people. So there's the second pillar of my business. I've got fabric, and now I'm offering long arm quilting services.
Nice.
And actually the third, because I always did do the quilts and the weighted comfort quilts. That's what started it all, really. So
Yeah.
now I've got 3 pillars. And that's kind of how it went. And then the next thing was I bought a second long arm and started doing rentals. So people can come and rent time on the machine and do their own quilting. So that's slowly catching on. And then the next thing, I moved to the city.
Yeah, that's a big move.
Oh my God. Yeah, it really
And
was.
how big, I haven't been to your shop. How big is your shop?
So we had about in the house here, I had about 300 square feet. The shop is about 1,000 square feet.
Oh,
So it's a
wow.
bigger space, which allowed me to bring in more fabric and allowed me to build a classroom, which is now our fourth pillar and our last pillar. That's it. That's all we're
Yeah.
going to do. We're not going to start branching out into other stuff now. Well, I
Oh,
say
no.
that, I say that now.
Yeah.
But there's this little person in the back of my mind that says, yes, but you have people who want you to go teach them how to work their long arms. So, will there be private lessons in long arm quilting at people's homes on their machines? Potentially, but
Oh,
not this
interesting.
year. Not this year.
Yeah.
Well, because when people see, the first question is, do you give lessons? So it's like, well, no, I can't. I don't have time.
Right.
And it's pointless for me to give you a lesson on my machine because the machine you've got at your house is completely different.
Okay.
So that's kind of where that's going.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean,
It's hard to say no, isn't it, Lisa?
really is. And when your customers, with me, they love my work. The quilting is kind of what sets me apart because of the type of quilting I do is very specific, and it's kind of an artistic type
It's
thing.
beautiful.
Thank you. And they want to learn how to do it. And I don't blame them, right? It's something that they want to learn how to do. So it is kind of one of those things that you do have to have a little bit of an innate ability, but you can also learn. It's a skill. It's like anything.
Yeah.
You just practice, practice,
Yeah.
practice, right?
Exactly. One of
Um,
the skills that you developed really quickly was your marketing skills,
well,
right?
I didn't have a choice. I had to.
Yeah, like Lisa was quite a superstar, actually. Really, you were like you really like embraced everything I said and followed through, and like your social media, I think was really stellar. It still is. Can you give everybody kind of idea of what did it take to go from just doing custom orders for people who knew you
Yeah.
to being able to like have people come to your first shop? Like, what did it take from a marketing perspective for you to get people there?
A lot of presence on Facebook, lots of posting on Facebook, and you don't have to. My favorite thing in the world is the KISS principle, and if you don't know what it is, it's keep it simple, stupid, right? And I apply that in as many situations as I can. You don't have to make it difficult.
Yeah.
Throw a picture and a quick little bloop on Facebook, and it's just presence of mind. They're seeing you, they see you, they see you, they see you, they see you, and it's that. And you taught me that the seven touches, right?
Yep.
And it is you're bang on with that number seven. Honestly, it that's how long it takes to just touch, 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 and bam, they're in your shop and they're wanting to know about classes. It happens that way. So the Facebook is a great way. The Facebook marketing is a great way to do that. One, it's free for the
Yep.
most part. Like you can pay for ads if you want, but you don't really have to. The other nice thing about the Facebook, I have two staff now, and they both can post on my page, right?
Nice.
So if Lisa V, who's my right hand girl, I don't know what I do to I don't know what I do without her. She goes, click. Oh, look what I'm doing today! Isn't this fun? Bam, on Facebook, and everybody's,
Yeah.
oh my god, I want to make one. Can you do it? Right? So
Yeah.
it generates that excitement. So Facebook is pretty much, I would say it's my number one in
You're
terms
number
of
one.
and moving the business forward. And the other thing was word of mouth, really, because quilters are a small group. They're a
Yeah.
big group, but they're a close knit group, I guess is the better way to put that. In this immediate area between St. John and Sussex, we have four quilt guilds,
Oh,
and
wow.
guilds meet once a month and they talk to each other every day. So if one person in the guild finds out about you, they all know about you. So word of mouth has been a huge part
Yeah.
of growing the business. I did do some radio advertising.
I
Uh,
remember that.
yeah, and you helped me you helped me do a press release, which was great. And the radio advertising, it was great in the beginning. I don't really see the need for it right now in terms of we've just got enough. Like we are busy, busy, busy,
Yeah.
so we're good right now.
Yeah.
Not that
And
we
that's good.
stopped marketing, but we're going to just do our Facebook and our email campaigns and our word of mouth and signs, and send an email to the president of the Quilt Guild and say, hey, by the way, this is what's going on, and
Right.
they'll spread that through their group, right? So it's
I
making
think you,
those connections.
yeah, I think you brought up a really good point in that the close knit community that is the quilters community.
Yeah,
And really for anybody listening, like if you have a passion type business like that, skiing, quilting,
yeah,
mountain biking, whatever the passion is, like those communities will sell for you. It's like that's why the relationships really matter and the customer service matters and all of that stuff,
yeah.
right?
And that's what sets us apart. And that you ask anybody, any of my customers, what sets this quilt shop apart for you? They will tell you customer service.
What do they mean? Like specifically,
They
like what
mean
about it?
So the thing about me, my one of my biggest pet peeves is poor customer service, especially when I go into a shop where I know I'm gonna spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
And fabric is not a necessity of life. It's a luxury item. It's not like groceries and gas. It's a luxury
Right.
item. You
Mhm.
don't have to buy fabric to make quilts. So the fact that they are continuing to do it in this current climate that we're in, this current with the price of gas and groceries and all of that they
Yeah.
continue to do it. Now, a lot of people will say, yeah, it's a mental health thing. We need it for our sanity, and I get that.
Yeah.
But when they say customer service, they are talking about when they walk in the shop. It's 9 times out of 10, the music is blaring, which they like,
Yeah.
because we like to dance and sing and have fun in the shop. And all of the staff, myself, my two girls, my mom, we're usually laughing or joking or giggling about something. It's just that atmosphere. So when you
Mm.
first walk in the shop, it's that there's a party going on and it's here, right? And they love it. They really, really love it. Or everybody's head down and all you hear are sewing machines going. So it
Yeah.
just depends on the day. But that is the first thing. So when they first walk through the door, I hear it over and over. It's such a welcoming. It's like coming home. It's very welcoming, very warm atmosphere.
Love that.
And the next thing is everybody knows when someone walks through the door, that is the most important person on the face of the earth right now, right? My staff know that. I know that. That's how I operate because it is the most, the customer is the most, without the customers, you don't have business.
Yes.
So they're the most important person. Now, the next thing is what is it they need? So we need to greet them. The minute they come through the door, I don't care what you're doing, you need to say, at least say hello and ask them if they need anything, like blah, blah.
Yes.
So there's all that. And then they will tell you that if they need something very specific, if I don't have it, I will find it. So they'll tell you if she doesn't have it, she'll find it. If it's a fabric she knows that her competitor has, she will call them and ask them if they have it. And if they, so I don't care if I have to buy it from, the quilt shop down the road to get
Yeah.
it for them or send them there. We work there's another quilt shop in the area. We work very well together. We service all the same customers.
Yeah.
So, if I don't have it, she might. So I'll call. I've got her on speed dial. I'll call,
That's awesome.
right? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's about the customer service. And
Yeah.
as an aside,
I keep clapping for those of you who can't see me.
I know I'm enjoying it. I really am. As an aside, my other pet peeve, this is kind of funny, but it actually really matters to me. I hate going into a shop and spending a bunch of money and then being asked for 10 cents for a bag. Like, I'm sorry, I just spent
Yeah.
$350. You give me a bag. So bags are free in Quilting Studio. You get a bag and you don't have to pay 10 cents. So again, it's a little thing, but it
Yeah.
matters to people. It
Yeah.
matters. So
Yeah.
it's so easy to make people happy. It really, really is. I mean, fine, you get your difficult people, and it doesn't matter what you do. You just can't make them happy. But you know what? You can try,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
all we can do is try.
And they're
So
probably few and far in between for you,
they really,
just because of the atmosphere that you've created in there,
are.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So at the end of the day, customer service and making them feel special. Like my customers are all sweeties and dears and honeys, and they like it. And and they love my mother. Oh my God. So they'll sit and they'll stay for an hour. My
Yeah.
customers will come in and stay for they might not buy anything, but they're there for an hour and they'll come back.
It's like the gathering place.
It really, it's just they like the atmosphere and they want to stay in the atmosphere. They feel comfortable there. I have one lady, I know she doesn't need to buy anything. She's just coming in because she needs a dose of the happy. Like,
Uh,
and that's what it is.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. I can be that for her. That's fine, you know. So
I love that. As you're talking, I know your business has evolved so much over the last 5 years. As you're talking and the words that you're throwing out, I'm like, there's still a lot of your brand foundation
there
um,
is. Yeah.
that is in like the special. Like I remember there was a lot of discussion about special
Yeah.
comfort and like
Yeah.
the specialness and the comfort. Those were your main things, right? Now, when we were talking, there was more about the weighted blankets and the more product specific, but you've now taken that
Yeah.
from the experience of getting your weighted blanket created to the experience of being in your shop. But it's the same. They're special. They get it personalized and they get that
Because
comfort. It's interesting.
that's because that's who I am. When I was in university, I waitressed. I worked at Swiss Chalet, and my customers were all honeys and dears and sweeties, and they loved it. Right? That's just who I am. I maybe because I was born in Cape Breton. I don't know. All the capers rubbed off on me, I guess. But they just that warmth is.
Mhm.
I think it's horribly missing now. Like that warmth and that personal connection, that is just missing from our world. Everybody's got their face stuck in their phone. everybody's, shopping online. The customer service thing is a thing of the past, and it's
Mhm.
finally starting to come back. Like we're
Yeah.
starting to see people lay the phone down and have a face-to-face conversation now.
Yeah, I see that too, like the trend of that, and people noticing now how much time they're wasting on
Yeah.
their phone and
Oh yeah.
scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So
Yeah.
it will be interesting over the next 5 years to see how that evolves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But I
Uh,
think I always say I was born to be a shopkeeper. That old timey, you picture the old man who owns the hardware store in the tiny
yeah,
little community type thing, and it's got the feeds stuff and like to me, that's the customer service is the basis of the business. It has to be.
yeah,
Or you're going to have a business, fine, you might make a bunch of money, but you're not going to have a business for very long if you're not treating your customers well.
no,
I think that's just the main thing. And doing good work. Like
yeah,
everything my staff knows, if it comes out of this shop, it has my name on it, it must be perfect. And we just always strive for that, right? We always strive for that. If it's got my name on it, it has to be good. It
yeah,
has to be the quality that my customers are used to. There's no exceptions.
yeah. There's that consistency, right? Like that's perfect. Okay, so tell me, oh, there's so much I want to talk to you about. There's so many things that I know that are just such great stories. Let's start with the story of this podcast is called Daring Dreams,
Yeah.
and it's about people taking that leap and like really stepping into basically their dream life,
Mm,
right? In
mm,
becoming an entrepreneur.
yeah.
So can you kind of walk people through the journey you took from your previous life before being an entrepreneur and how this kind of came to be? Because it was a major shift for you.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. That's putting it quite mildly.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, ever since I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to own a business of some sort. My dad was a business owner for his entire life, career up until when he retired, and I don't know. I always knew I wanted to own a business. I didn't really know what it was going to be. I batted around all kinds of ideas. And as you said, I was working as a parole officer. So I was with the Correctional Service of Canada for 15 years and working in St. John as a community parole officer and messing around with the sewing machine. And, word kind of got around that I had a clue what I was doing. And people asked me to make this and make that. And can you do this? And can you do that? Sure, I can do that. And then one of my colleagues came to me and asked me to make a weighted blanket for her daughter. Her daughter is autistic, and the family, it's a family of five, and they were struggling a bit with sleep at night because the daughter wasn't sleeping, and on and on. And so she kind of thought a weighted blanket could help. So we come up with an idea of what she wanted. And she wanted to make it. She didn't just want one of the gray plushy things that you can buy at the big box store. She wanted it to be beautiful. She wanted it to be in colors that her daughter loved, and on and on. So we came up with that. We went and we looked at fabrics together, come up with the plan for it, and I made the weighted quilt. And after presenting this to her, and the first night with the quilt, her husband was worked in the same office as I did, and the next morning he actually came to my office door and stood in my office door and said, "We all slept last night. Like she slept, we all slept. We all had the greatest sleep." And I was like, "Oh my God." Like I had no idea that this very simple thing, it's essentially a quilt with weight in it that makes it heavy. That's all it is. And and it just changed their life. And I'm like, "Well, frig."
Yeah.
That's pretty
That's
easy.
significant.
You're right. And it would just, of course, it got the wheels turning, and it's like, wow, geez. And then another colleague, "Can you make one for my son?" Sure. And same thing. And it just went on from there. And so there, and again, word of mouth. And then I started, marketing it a little bit. So the weighted quilts kind of took off from
Yeah.
there. And yeah, it was like, well, geez, do I want to do this as my business? Like, is this what I've been waiting for all along?
Yeah.
But man, I had a nice paycheck. it
It
was
is hard to take off those golden handcuffs.
it was a long, hard journey to come to that conclusion that that's what I was going to
Mhm.
do. And so, I had to get
How
on.
long did it take? How long did it take you from
Well,
like when you were like, oh, maybe I could do this as a business to like actually being like, I'm gonna do this as a
I'm going
business?
to do this. Well, the funny thing is I was off work for about 7 weeks. I was recovering from surgery. So I thought, well, let's just pretend, right? Like, let's just pretend that I'm not a parole officer. This is what I do every day for my work from my home. So that was in 2017. And so for that 7 weeks, I worked on a quilt for a friend and just pretended that was my job. And and I bought the business license and all that,
Yeah.
and went back to work. And I was like, oh boy, I really wish I was home sitting behind the sewing machine right now. So of course, my heart really wasn't in my job so much anymore. And don't get me wrong, I liked my job. Being a parole
Yeah.
officer is a wonderful job. It's very rewarding. It's a federal government job, so it's got all those nice perks that come along with that, the nice benefit package and all that stuff. So it wasn't that I hated my job, but there was a lot of stressors with that job, and
Yeah.
you'd lose clients to overdoses, you'd lose clients to suicides, you'd have to
Mhm.
send them back to jail. Like, it was a hard job. It was hard
Yeah.
on it was very hard on the emotions, and me being the type of person I am, I
It's
don't.
hard.
I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah. It was hard on my heart. It really was. And you're dealing with people's lives, right? And it was just there were days that were really really tough. And so I thought, I thought about it, and it took me about a year from when I went back to work in I don't know, June of 2017, to just look really closely at what I needed to do in terms of finances to make it
Yeah.
happen. Because as I say, in 2017, I bought the business license. So I had the business license, the name KP Quilting Studio.
Yeah.
Have all that.
So it
So
was happening. It was
it
just a
was
matter of
happening.
when.
It was just a matter of, as I said in our previous talk that we had 5 years ago, I had to get the planets to align. So yeah, so May of 2018, that was my last day.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. And I haven't looked.
It it's tough. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say was the biggest hurdle that you've had so far as a
Oh,
business owner? I know there's a lot of hurdles as
you
business
want me to
owners,
pick
but
just one?
yeah, pick
um,
one that
it,
that
it's
you were
you
able to overcome, so you can tell us how to overcome it.
you want to know what the hurdle that I'm going to talk about, because there's lots and you just have to keep jumping them. But this one I thought was an asset in the beginning, and I learned
Okay.
that it was not. And
Ooh, okay.
yeah, and that is this location on the
Okay.
peninsula.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned because I thought, like, when I bought this property, I thought, ooh, what a great little place for a business. And let me say, I think it's a great location for a business, a crafty business, a very, very small bit, a business for maybe someone who has another income in their
Right.
household.
Yeah.
I don't.
Because it's a
I,
very, for those of you who don't know, it's a very, very small community.
very
Like
small.
how many people would be like so small? Like,
Couldn't even tell you. It's just,
yeah, a couple
but
thousand.
yeah,
Yeah.
very small area. But I thought it was a great location because there is a steady stream of traffic that goes by this place on Saturdays because we have a big farmers market just up the road.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, there's traffic going by here all the time. And there is on Saturdays from 7 until 2.
Right.
That's it. So the hurdle with this particular location, and I mean, I've been here like 2018 to August 2023.
Yeah.
So that's 5 years working this
Yeah.
business out of this location. So it's not, don't let me make you feel like it's really bad, because it's clearly not. But
Yeah.
it's certainly not as good as I thought it was. So getting people over here was the challenge. I have so many people in St. John, customers that have never been to my shop on the peninsula because it's too far away. Now it's 20
Interesting.
minutes. It's 20 minutes away from St. John.
Yeah.
So, right?
Yeah.
To me, now I'm a person who grew up way out in the boonies. It was an hour plus for me to drive anywhere, like to a grocery store, like an
Yeah.
hour's drive to get to a grocery store where I grew up. So to me, 20-minute drive is nothing. But I'm the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Right. So
Location, 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 location,
that's,
location.
and
Like
that's
small business, location, location,
it
location,
really, really, really is.
signage. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the business has done quite well. I mean the revenue has been there,
Yeah.
right? COVID got me going, believe it or not. I'm
Did you
one of
say
those.
COVID got you going?
COVID got this
Tell
business
me.
going. Absolutely.
Oh, because people had time.
People had, okay, so when the whole bottom dropped out of everything in the end of February 2020, they shut the world down and everybody had to start wearing masks, but you couldn't get your hands on a mask, right?
I
So
forgot. Yeah.
people had to make masks and nobody had any fabric to make masks with, and there was no fabric stores open. But I was sitting here with a host full of fabric and a website they could buy it on. So that's what got me going.
Smart pivots. Love it.
Right? It just
Yeah.
it happened that way. Like I was all set to open my brick and mortar in the middle of February, and
Yeah.
bam, they shut everything down, 5 minutes before I opened.
Yeah.
So that, and then everybody started wanting to learn how to make quilts. So double whammy, right? Everybody needs fabric. Not to mention all the businesses it was like a sweatshop here. And like I was at that sewing machine 12 hours a day
Wow.
making
Yeah.
masks for businesses. They'd order 50 at a time, right? So, oh, I need to make 50 masks in the next 2 days.
Wow.
So that kind of also got things going as well, the revenue from that,
Yeah.
and people buying fabric. And now we have all these new quilters because they're bored out of their mind.
Yep.
And of course, once we learned that this is not just going to be a couple months shutdown, we're going to be shut down for a long time. All
Yeah.
the quilters went out and decided, okay, I'm going to be stuck in the house for the next year. I'm going to do this, 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 this. I'm going to do these 8 projects this year, and I need the fabric for all of them now.
Okay.
So 2020 was crazy. 2021 was like bonkers with people buying fabric, right?
Wow.
So that, like, my revenue, I think 2020 was 6,000 and 2021 was like 93,000. Like that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I
That's
know.
insane. That's so good. Holy.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I it's nice to hear a positive COVID story.
Right.
Um,
Because there's not, and that's why I tell it, because there's not that many of them out there.
yeah. Mine was a positive one too.
Yeah.
Well, it's positive and negative.
Yeah.
Because I was as you know, a coach,
Mhm.
and all the businesses were really struggling, and there was a government agency who kept sending me clients
Yeah.
who needed to pivot. And like I was working like 8
Yeah.
one-on-one sessions every single day. And it was really, really busy for me. But the problem was I'm an empath, and
Yes.
everybody was really, really emotional and upset. And like half of my meetings every day was tending
Right.
to people crying,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it was good in terms of like it was my probably biggest year as well,
Yeah.
from a revenue perspective.
Yeah.
But from a personal like mental health perspective, like I was really struggling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's just no, and I mean we're still dealing with the fallout from it, right?
yeah,
With the prices, the precedent was set with gas and grocery prices. The
yeah,
precedent was set. We showed that we'd pay it, and now we're still paying it, even though we
yeah,
don't need to be. We are, and it
yeah,
happened with fabric, and it happened with batting. Everything that I have to buy, the shipping costs have gone through the roof, right?
yeah.
So, the ripple effect, we're still feeling that ripple
Oh,
effect.
absolutely. And there's still some businesses who weren't as fortunate as us who are still trying to like climb out of
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
debt, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask this question to every single person I interview because I think it's so important. Because I feel like having a business is it's almost like a therapy. It forces you to grow in ways that like personal development that you maybe never really anticipated that you would grow. I know at least for me and a lot of my clients it is. So can
Yeah.
you tell me one mental barrier that you've had to overcome in order to be able to see success in your business? How did it transform you? What was that mental barrier that was the big one for you?
I'm a horrible planner. I'm a planner, but I plan it all in my head, right?
Okay.
but I don't actually write anything down or organize it or say, okay, this week I'm going to get this, this, and this done. I do say it in my head, but I don't
Yeah.
actually, yeah. So planning for me it's an exercise that I must do, but I don't like it. I,
Right.
I'm a true Pisces. I go whatever way the water, like I'm swimming. I'm just
I'm
going
a Virgo.
my
It's like,
way. Right? I know, exactly. We're so different that way. And I just, wishy-washy, it's all gonna work out. It's just gonna be fine.
yeah,
That's me. So I have to make myself plan. I have
yeah.
to make myself sit down and do my marketing on Monday, Marketing Monday. Days are marketing days, right? I
Yeah.
have to sit down and do. I have to, and I can be a bit of a procrastinator. I'm not too bad, but there's times when, like, my house is never so clean as when I've got paperwork to do. Like, like I, if there's paperwork that needs to be done, I am cleaning the toilets. Like
Oh, yeah.
that's me, right? So so those are the two things that's my personality.
So
Sometimes
how do
I'm
you overcome that so that you can get like, because I know you have like a lot of orders too. So you actually have to not just fit your marketing in, but you're like doing like you have to fit your stuff in.
well, here's an example.
How did you overcome it? Or
I
have
got
you?
two staff that are really good hard workers.
Yeah.
and but I joke about that, but it's life changing when you get to a point that you have staff. And it was hard for me to hire staff because I didn't want to give up that money, right? I
Yeah. Or
wanted the
the
money back.
control. Like that's for me, it's the control.
Yeah,
I'm a
and for
control
me,
freak.
I'm weird because I'm a Pisces, but I am a perfectionist, right?
Yes, you are.
So perfectionism, control freak, kind of synonymous. So, but by hiring people that I know their abilities and the quality of their work, because I was very selective. I didn't advertise a job opening. I didn't do any of that. I watched my customers for a year and decided who I wanted with me from that.
And then you asked one of your
And
customers.
she was in the shop and I said, "Do you have 20 minutes?" And she said, "Yes, I do." And I sat her down and I said, "Do you want to come work here?" And she said, "Yes, please." She was very excited. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was Lisa B. And she's been with me quite a while now. And she's my right hand. Yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
I can
What a
take
good way to recruit.
it's that was for me, that was like when I first opened this business, I had more people messaging me saying, "Oh, if you ever need any help in the shop," like, no,
Yeah.
because I know who I want to spend 8 hours a day with and who I don't. And that's not to say any of these people were bad people or
Yeah.
ugly people or not friendly people, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's just I need a certain person that is going to understand my very warped sense of humor and not be offended by it for starters, because I have one of those, right? It's true. I mean, you want the truth, right? But I do. And I needed someone who is passionate about fabric
Hmm.
and quilting, who can, that infectious passion that you need when you have someone walking through the door and they're like, "I want to make a baby quilt for my grandson. I have no idea where to start." And boom, that passion can just jump in there and help that person. I
Yeah.
needed I needed somebody who's a little techie, who could help
Hmm.
me with some of the Facebook stuff and do some
Yeah.
of that and do some paperwork, right? She fit the bill on every score, right?
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
it
and
actually is making me think of just coming back to branding for a moment.
yeah,
When you're going through your branding and you have to figure out what your values are,
yeah,
right? And then you want to hire people who are in alignment with
yeah,
those values because then it's easy,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that's like when you just said, like, she has the passion, she can just jump right in there. Well, that's part
yeah,
of who you are too, like that warmth, that passion, and to look for somebody who already has that. You can't train that stuff.
yeah, 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 exactly. And the nice thing about in particular is she knows I'm a control freak and she does not get offended when I look over her shoulder to see if she's doing it the way I
Are
want her
you
to.
sure?
I know. No, she doesn't. She's fine. I've gotten so much better at just letting her do her job. She knows how to do her job. She does not need me there telling her how to do it. She's very, very good. So that is a huge growing thing for me because, again, control freak. So, and I don't know. I think almost anybody who goes into to become an entrepreneur has to have a bit of that
Yeah.
control freakiness in them. I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to.
I think it
But that's
comes
kind of,
from like building your passion up because I'm actually like, I'm thinking about it and I'm actually not a control freak in other parts of my life. It's
me
literally
neither.
just this part of my
Yep,
life that I am.
yep,
So
yep,
I think maybe it does come from the fact that it's like you're something you created on your own and you have your vision for it, right?
yep,
And
yeah.
nobody can
Yeah,
do it as good as you.
and and then we add in the mama, which is my mother, my 78-year-old mother who comes to work every day. She loves it, and it's a wonderful thing for her, and it's a wonderful thing for me. We joke that I pay her with Hershey's Kisses and French fries because she's my mom,
Best
right?
employee ever.
so and she does a great job. She does the work to the expectations, that because it's, just because she's my mom, she doesn't get to do it subpar, right? She's got to
Yeah.
do it to my expectations, to my level, that what I expect, the level of quality that we need. And the customers absolutely adore her, and they love to see our relationship because mom and I are very close. It was just her and I from the time I was about 7. So we pretty much grew up together. Like mom was in her early 30s, right?
Yeah.
So mom and were more like sisters than mother and daughter. And the customers see that and they love seeing our banter and the way I pick on her a lot and she picks on me. Like they just like seeing that
Yeah.
very genuine relationship that we have. Yeah, they just adore her.
And you
And
guys are being real and
we're,
authentic. And I think
I,
that that's
I can't be anything other than. It's just I'm not. I can't put
no.
on it. I'm too lazy. Like
And it's awful. And I was just telling this to so if you're listening to multiple podcasts in a row, you're going to hear this story twice.
yeah.
But one of the stats that just came out was that there's like vibrational frequencies for all your emotions, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so if you like love and gratitude, they say vibrates at a high frequency. So people want to be around that emotion
Yep.
because it's a high frequency.
Yep.
Anyways, authenticity,
Mm.
they've just been able to measure scientifically, and it's vibrating at a 4 times higher than love and gratitude.
Wow.
Yeah. So like when you're going out and being real and stuff and in your shop and being real and authentic and in your marketing, being real and authentic, like it is bringing the best to you.
Yeah.
It's like that higher vibe.
You can see it. You
Frequency.
can see it. And here's the other thing. Customers will spot BS 100 miles away. They will spot in insincerity 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
If you don't feel it, don't say it. And that is now clearly we are in a retail shop. You have to have a certain level of professionalism and all that kind of stuff. We do have all that. I'm you know me well enough to know what I'm like. And I do have to temper that a little bit because I can be a little bit rough around the edges at times. But that's at the end of the day, the customers just love that the realness, right?
Yeah.
They respond to that. And I don't want to finish this topic off without talking about my last and most recent hire, and that's Cindy, and she is fantastic as well. And she brings another level of professionalism to the shop that we needed, to be quite honest, because I'm very laid back. Mom and
Yeah.
I have a banter that we go through, what that we do. Lisa's very laid back, and not that we're all just a bunch of crazy people running around like chickens with their head cut off, but Cindy brings that more calm, serene way about her. She's just very professional. She's very, yeah, she rounds us out really nicely. So we have a really nice team. And I think we started this whole thing talking about hurdles and me being a
Yeah.
procrastinator and not planning, and we got off, but it does come back around because the areas that I lack, they have,
Yeah.
right?
And that's what it's about, right? We don't want to
Right?
we don't want to hire people who are just like us.
Well, you can't have a bunch of clones of yourself because then well, who wants to be in that atmosphere?
Yeah.
Right?
How many of those can we
But
have?
How
There's
many
only one.
Lisas?
There's
I mean,
only
I've got
one.
another Lisa, but she's sort of like me,
Oh
but
yeah, you do.
right? Yeah. So two Lisas, a Cindy, and a Mama. So
Nice.
it's a nice, they say, surround yourself with, like, when you hire, you need to hire the people that have the strengths that you're missing,
Yeah,
right? It's really
absolutely.
important.
But also the values in alignment,
Yeah.
but the strengths
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's been other people that have approached me and that I've thought about hiring, and it just didn't feel right. There was an element of that their personality that just did not quite meld. It just
Yeah.
didn't feel right. It would change the atmosphere.
Right.
And
And that is what
that's
your customers love.
my customers respond to the atmosphere the way it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it is my motto,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do you
But yeah,
see for KP Quilting Studio in the next 5 years? Like you did a lot in 5 years. What is your plan for the next 5 years? What's your
um,
vision?
so this year we're still in growing pains. So we're still getting our classrooms figured out and um, deciding, if we're going to continue with this service and that service, and how can we get more fabric and how can we get more space and da, 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 da. Will we start selling sewing machines? Maybe. Lots of quilt shops sell sewing machines. I'd love to. I have a brand that I absolutely love that I would love to be an ambassador for. Uh,
Hmm.
that is something that's sort of on the back burner. For this year, it's just settle down.
Yeah.
Get to a point where everything is kind of running smoothly. The classroom we got that figured out. The rental is, a little bit more consistent. So this year is really just about settling, everybody
Yeah.
figuring out where they fit in the whole plan with this new, because honestly, moving the shop in August, I might as well have started a brand new business.
Really.
Everything is different. We're doing the same thing, but it's so, like, my customer base has quadrupled. Like, I have,
I'm not surprised, actually.
oh my
I
goodness,
mean, your population just driving by.
exactly. I mean, the foot traffic has quadrupled, if not more.
Yeah.
It's a great location, right? Right on
Yeah.
just right off the highway on Ross Avenue. It's fantastic because I still have all my KV people from the
Hmm.
valley, but now
Yeah.
I have all my St. John people, and I have people coming up from Charlotte County. So, and Fredericton. So we're getting more because people come to St. John all the time. Nobody goes to the peninsula, right? They'll go on Saturday to go to the market. But, to
Yeah.
come to my shop when it was on the peninsula, it was a specific trip to go to my shop. Well, they
Yeah.
had
It
to
was
pass,
like a destination activity for like a morning or a day,
right.
right? Like,
But they had to
yeah.
pass by another quilt shop to get here,
Oh,
right? So,
okay.
so
Yes, they
But
did.
and a lot of people don't like the ferry. Like a lot of people are like, I'm not taking my car on a boat, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. So the move to the city was huge, and so this year is very much about just settling and getting our feet sort of under us a little better. The next 5 years, I want to grow the business. I'm 54 years old, so I'm not going to
Just
work
a
for.
baby.
I'm just a baby, but I'm not going to work forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to grow the business. So 54, that's going to put me, I'll be pushing 60. I want to grow the business to a point where it's saleable, where it's
Yeah.
someone would want to buy it. It's saleable now, but there's still things I want to do. There's still things that I want to solidify and make us the poster child for this specific
Yep.
service, that's or whatever. I need to build the reputation again now in the city. I'm starting from a very good spot. The store has a very good reputation. I have a good reputation. That is so important. And
Yep.
that's why everything that goes out of our shop has to be as close to perfect as possible. It matters. So, that, again, I'm not much of a planner, but that to me is get it to a point where it's either sellable or I can start walking away
Stepping back.
and letting someone else manage the business. I can continue to own it, that's fine, but where I can let someone manage the business more, and I can take that
Nice.
time off. So, because yeah, time off is still not something I get very much of.
Yeah.
A day here or there. I did manage to get to Florida last year, which was amazing. And
Nice.
again, that's again having those staff that can take over for me. I can take a day off now and I don't have to worry about the shop. Lisa has it. Lisa and Cindy have it. I don't have to worry.
Perfect.
Yeah. But that's kind of where it's at. Like, will we add a couple more services? Maybe. We'll
Yeah.
see. We might add in the long arm, the teaching, teaching at someone's house type thing. We
Yeah.
might add that in. We'll see.
I'll be checking in 5 years from now. I'll be like, I need you back on my podcast because we need to do like every 5 years, we need to do a little
We
check-in.
should. Yeah, that would be fun, actually. I mean,
I
like
know.
I say,
And
I
then we
was
could put them like, actually, I might do this for this
happy
one. Put
alum.
it like this 5 years ago to
Oh, because
today and like
yeah,
do like a little, that would be fun. I might do
and
that.
I was telling you, I listened to our conversation from 2019, and I'm
Yeah.
talking about the barn, and I'm going to do this and do that. And it's like, no, none of that happened. So I think that's a good takeaway, actually, is you have to have a plan, but you also have to be flexible and
Yes.
say, okay, this that I thought was this great idea, like you have to be willing to let go of what you think is a great idea.
I got
And
goosebumps right now. That's so
well,
true.
but it is like if I had stuck to this barn plan, yeah, it would be beautiful, but I would still not have the client base that I have in the city. And the moving to the city, that was kind of rolling around in the back of my head. And
Mm,
then the big fabric store in St. John
yeah.
made an announcement saying they were closing. And I'm like, whoa, if there's ever been a sign from the universe for me to get
Yep.
my butt into the city, that's it right there. Get in there now. And we were packing 2 weeks after. Done.
Really.
Yep.
I love that. So, and it's interesting because that's exactly what you said. Is like you can have the best laid plans, but look, COVID changed everything
Yep.
for your business. Then a competitor moving on or whatever changed something else like
Mhm.
that you did not foresee.
Yeah.
Like those are circumstances you can't foresee. So rolling with the punches
Yeah.
and jumping at those opportunities
Yeah.
when they come up and like putting your like brave girl pants on, right?
Yeah.
Because those are like that, especially the move. Like that's like it's expensive to have a storefront where you have,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm just so proud of you. Oh my gosh, you just I'm just so extremely proud of what you have done.
Thank you, Haley.
So, and I know it takes so much work.
But it's good work. It's good and it's fun and it's rewarding and satisfying, right?
And that's all we can like, honestly, that's all you can hope for is to have spend your days doing something fulfilling,
Yeah. Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Okay, well, I think this has been like, I mean, I could talk to you forever. I have like 100 more questions on my page, but we're gonna stop there just because we got to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Lisa. It's always awesome to connect with you. Can you let everybody know if they want to check out your shop or buy online? How do they find KP Quilting Studio?
All right. Well, there's lots of ways. So first and foremost, we are located at 574 Rothsay Avenue, St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. Our phone number is 506-763-2560. So you can always call the shop. And if I don't answer, I'm busy, so leave a message.
So go
Um,
away. No, no, don't go away.
so there's that. There's all the old-fashioned ways. We are on Facebook, KP Quilting Studio. We are on Instagram, KP Quilting Studio. We have a website, kpquiltingstudio.com. And our email is kpquiltingstudio@gmail.com. So you can get in touch with me all of those ways. But come by the shop. Just come in and say hi and see what we have to offer. Maybe take a class. There's so much fun stuff going on. But yeah, that's about. I think that's all the ways. Carrier
That's all the ways. And I'll
pigeon.
put them in the show notes too, so make it
Yeah, for
easier for
sure.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, yeah, we're having a good
Perfect.
time. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. And I'm sure our listeners got a lot of really good insight from this conversation, actually. I think it
Yeah.
was really fabulous, in depth.
I hope so. And if there's anything that I said that resonated or that they aren't sure what I meant or whatever, send me an email. Like I'm happy to talk about my business and how how it's gone for the past however many years it's been. I'm very open to questions and that sort of thing if they want to contact me. not a
And we
problem.
didn't get to the topic, but if you're interested in Lisa's brand purpose, which you know we talk about a lot on this show, check out my book, Brand Worth Loving, because she is featured in the book
I am. I have
and
your
her story.
book on. It has a place of honor in my office at the shop.
Oh, awesome. Do you have it open to your page or is
Of
it
course.
just, I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.